Hi, I'm Kendra Bruseker, one of the contributing authors for History Transformed Stages 4 and 5, and I'm here today to talk to you about some of the unique features of these books. When we're thinking about the changes to the New South Wales Reformed Syllabus, there's been a lot of changes to structure, there's more studies available, there's a new core study with specific outcome focusing on Aboriginal people's experiences of colonization. We have our site studies and case studies, and then the adjustments to concepts and skills. While not all of this is new to the study of history, it's a really busy time in HSIE faculties right now. And so getting a good resource to support our teachers is one of the best things that we can do as we're planning for implementation. So looking at the reform syllabus and some of the changes to structure, what we see is that the overviews have been replaced with historical context studies and that we have fewer options from the choices. So we have 2 to 3 in stage 4. Previously, we had 5 and 1 to 2 in stage 5. So there is a little bit more structure. When we're looking at the History Transformed Stages 4 and 5 textbooks, these series cover all of the historical context studies, all of the depth studies, and all of the depth studies options. While some of these depth studies are online only, the material is still there. And what a lot of teachers are looking for right now, for those of us in the chat rooms, are topics that have already been previously developed. Some schools are implementing areas of study without resources, but History Transformed gives all of these to you. So if we take a look first at stage 4, we can see that there are 3 core historical context studies, there's 1 core depth study, and all 16 depth study options. This is also mirrored in the stage 5 text. So 2 core historical context studies, 3 core depth studies, and the 10 depth study options, all available for your staff. So when we're looking at the reform syllabus, the new core study has some specific outcomes, and this is the Aboriginal people's experience of colonization. For some schools, this can be a tricky area to teach because we want to do it authentically, and we want to give our students really meaningful and deep understanding to this part of the syllabus. So with this in mind, History Transformed offers us authentic coverage of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's history, co-authored by Palawa author Aria Ritz. Care has been taken to find sources that highlight authentic voices, and appropriate cultural permissions have been obtained for all of the sources used. So the depth study authors, Aria Ritz and Julie Bover, have written with the cultural safety of all students in mind. There are also site studies and case studies. So 1 case study and one site study must be studied in each stage for 5 hours each. You can see on the screen right now that these are easy to find. We can interact with them, and the depth studies core and option contain a site study that can be used for the syllabus requirement or as additional content. So a variety of case studies are also provided in the online teaching suite resource, giving teachers flexibility. So whether or not our schools have the opportunity to go on excursions that give us access to some of these site studies, or we're looking at them in the classroom, our students are still given rich and meaningful content. There's also some slight adjustments to concepts and skills. While concepts and skills are definitely not new to the study of history, they are now had a little bit of restructuring in the syllabus. And so, as we can see here, we wanted to make sure that we were aligning these adjustments to the concepts and skills to the activities that your students are doing throughout the textbook. So all concepts and skills are covered and they're aligned with the work. So we can see through the 2 examples here. The first one is an activity from the Aztecs chapter, where the historical concepts listed is significance, and the historical skill is analysis and use of sources. The purple one below comes from stage 5. The historical concepts are continuity and change and significant, and the historical skills are analysis, use of sources, perspectives and interpretations, and communication. While some schools have teachers teaching only in one area, in other schools we have teachers who are new to the profession, who are teaching out of area, or who might be less familiar with some of the topics that you've chosen as you implement the new syllabus. By making sure that we're aligning the content with concepts and skills, we can give our teachers the tools they need to unpack these with the class. This might be independent research or leading discussion. But we see really explicit links between the syllabus and the content that we have covered. We also have historical inquiry outcomes. So every chapter contains a historical inquiry, and the inquiry focuses on a particular historical concept. So we have scaffolding for how to approach a historical inquiry is included at the start of the book and as a downloadable document. But a big focus of these new History Transformed textbooks is knowledge-rich and accessible content. So we have consistently structured chapters framed by key inquiry questions. The content is divided into lessons with learning intentions, success criteria, and a starter activity. And the chapter presents syllabus dot points in a logical order for teachers to cover the material. So by having the syllabus points presented in logical order, this supports lesson planning. And some of the digital features are going to support lesson planning as well. But again, for those teachers who might be new or teaching across areas, this allows them to really focus on how they're going to deliver the content. So we set the scene. Each chapter starts with a timeline and visible thinking activity. In history, it's really important for our students in stage 4 and 5 to understand the scope of time that we're going to be dealing with and what the beginning and end of this timeline looks like. These chapters really allow us to see that, and again, gives them a thinking activity to get them started and discussing and engaging with the content. So the lessons are typically 4 to 5 pages each, ensuring that coverage is not superficial, but you can teach it as a whole or can choose bits and pieces out of it to support your resources that you've developed at school. But what we can see on the screen right now is that all of them are accompanied by really clear learning intentions and success criteria. So this is integrating best practice into the textbook that we're going to use so that as we're teaching it, we can check in with our students to see if they're meeting those success criteria. So can they identify Hatshepsut's achievements? Can they summarize what some historians have said about Hatshepsut? After the learning intentions and success criteria, we have lesson starter activities. So these spark student interest with relevant content and hands-on activities. It might be a think, pair, share, or a look, see, wonder, but the language and layout is made to be easy to read and gives opportunities for students to develop and apply key historical concepts and skills right from the beginning of the topic. As we're moving through the chapter, the lessons include a number of activities that include source analysis. There is scaffolding, end of the lesson reviews, and lots of opportunities for differentiation. As well, the online resources provide auto-marked quizzes. There are knowledge and understanding questions and thinking and research questions that help our students expand their thinking and research skills outside of the content of the book. What's very important for us historians, though, is visual and written sources. And the authors have found numerous interesting written and visual sources that are used really meaningfully in the chapters to help engage our learners. But this also includes video sources. And this ensures that we have differentiation in the presentation of sources for some of our more auditory learners, but also the fact that some of history is more modern. And this ensures that students are exploring the content in a really deep and meaningful way. So looking at the source analysis activities, as we're moving from stages 4 to 5, we're going to see the questions increasing in difficulty, and some source analysis will involve comparison of sources to help develop student skills, and again, building that critical thinking as they're moving through the stages. So we can see an example of that here, where our stage 4 is driven by words like describe, explain, and our stage 5, we see an increase in the skills with account for and evaluate. So every lesson finishes with a review. We have a digital quiz for simple recall and comprehension. We have knowledge and understanding questions that increase in difficulty, but are based on the content in the text. So students can use the text to complete these. And when we want to expand that critical thinking, we're going to go to thinking and researching. And then the big focus is skill development, which you've had a little bit of a discussion about already, but the end of the chapter reviews cover the entire topic. We have summary tasks and visible thinking routines. We have questions and activities, including scorcher quizzes, quick questions, group work activities, but the big thing is the writing focus. And as Andrew already mentioned, this is really important as we're working on those critical thinking skills and is such a necessary part of the development of our young historians, and it also supports our teachers.